you a member or have ties to extremist groups or organization? No. Do you use drugs or alcohol? Yes. Do you trust Agent Morgan? Are you ready to begin?
Hello everybody, it's Aaran back from Screenstars, and I'm here to do another review for Geek Legion of Doom. Today I'm here to review the 2022 true life drama stroke thriller MK Ultra. The film is written and directed by Joseph Sorrentino, and it stars Anson Mount, Jen Richards, Jason Patrick and James Ray Newman. Now, the film focuses on Anson Mount's character, Ford Strauss, who is like a brilliant psychiatrist. And this is set in, I think it's the early 60s, something like that, the late 50s. And he wants to kind of do some experimental experiments on his patients using like drugs and things like that. But when he goes through the official channels, he gets knocked back, basically. They say no. However, he is recruited by the C.I.A, who agree to fund his experiments as long as he comes and works for them. And it's kind of, you know, a no questions asked deal, which he agrees to. So he gets set up down in Mississippi, I believe it is, to kind of get these patients in and to do questionable experiments on them using drugs, etc. Right, what are my thoughts on MK Ultra? Well, by doing a little bit of research on this, this is an actual thing. MK Ultra was called Project MK Ultra, was an illegal human experimentation program undertaken by the CIA in the 50s right up until the early 70s, so that they could experiment on people, so they could develop procedures and identify the most effective drugs to use on people, to weaken them, to get confessions out of people, to brainwash them, so on and so forth. And this went on for like pretty much 20 years behind closed doors. And the CIA essentially went around recruiting like these expert doctors to undergo these experiments. And this film focuses on Anson Mount's character, Ford Strauss, who is one of these that is recruited. Now, this film, while is not going to be for everybody, you really do need to make that very, very clear from the start here. If you like true life event movies, if you like, you know, movies that, you know, deal with like deep, dark political issues years gone by in the US or wherever, you know, there's bits here that I think you're going to really, really enjoy. For those of you that like to watch fast-paced films that are really going to grip you and engage you, this is probably not going to be for you, because what we have here is, while it is a very, very well-made thriller and a fascinating subject matter when you consider that these are like true events that took place, I'm not exactly sure if like the people portrayed in this film existed, or if it's just kind of fictional characters put into a real life event that took place. Like I say, this MK Ultra experiment program. Either way, it's still quite shocking that a government would go to these lengths. It does kind of beg a belief, really, that this kind of stuff went on years gone by. And this film doesn't pull its punches in being very, very hard-hitting and impactful, and at times quite upsetting. Looking at some of the things that people were put through, the psychological torture that they went through, and the moral decisions that some people had to make. And I'm talking here about the Anson Mount character, Ford Strauss, who ultimately starts to develop a real connection with some of his patients. And when the CIA kind of starts doing with these patients what they choose to do with them without consulting him, and he gets more and more, he questions his morals more and more as the film goes on, sort of thing, to the point where he's really struggling to deal with his decisions, sort of thing, and he's got to kind of take action. So it does definitely throw a dark blanket over like this section of US history, if you like, that this kind of thing went on. But like I say, it's what we do have here is it's well made, it's well acted, but it's extremely slow paced, and it's kind of stitched together with like real life footage that is probably meant to confuse, maybe educate, and all this kind of stuff. Everything that's kind of thrown in there, and maybe, you know, it's an intellectual film, so it does really get you thinking and maybe get you talking if you're watching this with, you know, some other people. It's definitely going to generate discussion. I don't see how it wouldn't. The question is, does it entertain, I suppose? And the real answer here is, it probably shouldn't entertain. It's not an entertaining film. It is a well-made film that does what it's supposed to do. There's not a great deal else that I can say in regards to what you should expect from this film. What I will say, though, is Jason Patric is almost unrecognisable. In actual fact, even going into this film, I did realise that Jason Patric was in it because I saw his name, like on the synopsis sort of thing. But I didn't recognise him throughout the whole film. And it was only at the end when I was putting this review together with bits of the trailer and stuff, I thought, God, Jason Patric's in this. And I realised who it was then by looking at the footage of the trailer I was putting in this review. He's completely unrecognisable. I just didn't spot him, really. And Anson Mount, if you don't know who Anson Mount is, he is the guy that plays Captain Pike in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And he was in the Doctor Strange film fairly recently, but very briefly, to be perfectly honest. I think he's excellent in this film. I really do. I like him in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I thought he was very, very good in this film as well. So this is a very, very dark film with a dark subject matter, a very thoughtful film, and a film that is up for discussion, sort of thing. Will you go away from this film, you know, feeling enlightened? Probably. You will certainly be educated. Entertained, that's another matter. But I think there's a lot here for some people that like this sort of thing. If you're not into films that are going to make you think, if you're not into films that kind of holds the mirror up to past historical events, dark events in, you know, from the CIA and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to be interested. For everybody else, there's definitely a film hidden away in here that you may certainly enjoy. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to call back on the Geek Legion of Doom channel for loads more reviews.